Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. Got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right into it. Today, we're going to talk about all these things that you can see over here. And I just want to bring something to everybody's attention that do you realize that we really got out of World War III and how great that is? I got to tell you, I've seen some bullishness on the different platforms, but just remember, I mean, things could have gone way, way different. And, as far as Truth Social goes, I like to take a look at this because this is kind of like the insights into what is going on. If you're in a TA, I think you should just add Truth Social, Donald Trump's account, just to see what's going on. I know TA is great and it works fantastic for some. I don't use it personally, but you probably should take a look at this every so often just to see what the heck is going on in the world. And, we saw a lot of things. I know some people hate Trump and some people love Trump, but you can't deny the fact that we came pretty close to having a lot of problems, a lot of issues. So thank God that didn't happen and we avoided the nonsense that was. So I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. You can, follow that and you can kind of see where things are going, especially about tariffs and even about crypto and digital assets. A lot of good stuff on there. And then also, I want to bring it to everybody's attention about the video we did yesterday. It's called Scams, and how I almost got scammed essentially by a bad actor who was posing from crypto.com. I had linked this, or I posted this in X, and from now on, this is going to be essentially the standard of how to avoid all the different scams that are out there. And I linked this now forever, and this will be in the link in the description of all videos, where I put in here under my crypto critical videos, where I talk about when I'm selling 80% of my crypto, and I'll be stepping down from the channel, come back at the bear market, stress-free profit taking, even got a little pool jump that everybody's been asking about that. Yes, we did that. And all right here, don't fall for any scam. It's very simple. Go to the source. Just read that post, and that should eliminate 99% of all the scams and nonsense that's going on. So that's what we have. Let's get into the big stuff today, which is we're talking about which altcoins are beating and thriving. And it's not very many out of the top 50. And the reason I was thinking about this, of doing this, was because things are accelerating. We have problems on the horizons. We have the different issues that we're seeing in the Middle East and globally. We have the rise of artificial intelligence, which I think are going to take some jobs. I could be wrong, but it seems that way. And then also there is a rising cost of living. It seems like everywhere, especially in the United States. This was a piece about the living wage a family of 4 needs in all 50 states. And when I was reading through this, I thought number 50 was number 1. I was like, oh, it's not too bad. West Virginia is number 1. And what I'm talking about is this is the cheapest place to live in the United States for a family of 4 for a living wage. And that could be, just one person gets it, or the partners, the husband and wife actually make a combination of 82,000, whatever. But I was like, 82,000, okay, it's a pretty good amount. And I'm like, oh, that's the cheapest. That's the cheapest. So I just come down here. I'm like, okay, how expensive are we getting here? Okay, Kentucky, $93,000. You're kidding me that it's almost 6 figures to live in Kentucky? And then I'm just going down here. I'm like, what's the most expensive? Surprise, surprise, it's Hawaii. At $258,000 per year living wage. Annual cost of housing, $66,000, groceries, $28,000, and $9,500 for healthcare, which, let's be honest, healthcare as far as insurance goes is not the greatest. And I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. Crypto Karen, Elizabeth Warren, her state is almost the most expensive. Massachusetts living wage for a family of 4, almost $200,000. So what does this mean? It means this. It's time to start ungambling yourself and just take a look at, because we don't know where we're going to go until we know where we've been, right? I just want to do a quick DCA simulation of the top 50 and just to see how things were going over time. And I got to tell you, I sometimes forget about these things. So I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do a DCA equal amount. We're not going to do dynamic DCA. That's a little bit different. There's a link in the description for that video. But we're just going to DCA. And you can sign up for Ben's website. This part is free. And I encourage everybody to do it. It's very simple to use, and it keeps you straight going, okay, how are we doing here? So let's just do this. DCA equal amounts. Let's put in not a buck. Let's put in $20 a day. All right. For some, that's a lot. For some, that's chump change. I don't know. But let's just do $20 a day. And the starting date is going to be November 2022, November 1st, 2022. And I picked that date because that was the lowest point for the cycles. Now, obviously, I could go back to 2013, but how many of us were investing in 2013? I know there's some of you out there. Congratulations. But for the most of us, well, maybe this is like the first, maybe second cycle. For me, I've been around since 2017, but I don't want to show you those gains. I just want to, this is what I think a lot of people are doing and what they have. So November 1st, 2022, the ending date is today. Is it June 24th? June 25th. Well, we'll put June 24th because the day's not over. And Bitcoin, if you did 20 bucks a day, every single day, this is what you'd be up, 169%. So you would have invested 19,000 and you have 52,000. That's pretty good. And really not too much risk because, I mean, some people say that Bitcoin's a risky asset. I don't think it's a risky asset anymore. I think it's unstable at times, but as far as like risky, I think this is going to be a feature anyhow. And when we're going through these, I want you to think about like some of the more safer, quote unquote, options. This is the S&P 500, annual performance going back 20 years. And you'll notice that historically speaking, it's looking pretty good. I mean, you've got some years, 23.4%. And that's why this is where it comes from, that the average of the S&P 500 gains roughly 9%. Correct me in the comment section. But you can see that there's some years that you're not hitting that. Remember 2008? Great recession? Yeah, negative 38%. Remember 2022? Yep, that's right. Negative 19%, almost 20% because of that thing called coronavirus. But nice little rebound, 24%, 26%, 28%, somewhere around there, 23%. This year, it's kind of sucking, 3.58%. S&P 500, just saying. So when you think about these things, think about just trying to beat, I don't know, like 20%. That'd be the ideal to go from there as opposed to just getting the S&P 500. Anyhow, that's Bitcoin. Now I want to show you what it looks like on the other 49. Here's Ethereum. Did you know that if you would have invested $20 a day, you would have been $20,000 almost over almost 3 years, 2.5 and some change. You'd have 9 ETH right now. And you know what you'd be up? 14%. Ouchie. That is what it is. Now, before we go on, almost everything I'm going to talk about, I have a lot of these alts. So it pains me to bring this information to you, but I think we have to bring it out to the light. That's Ethereum. Almost 3 years. I made $2,000 over 3 years. 19,000 to 20,000. XRP. 200. Now this is the thing. Look at this. XRP beat Bitcoin. This is one of them. Now, why did it do that? Well, obviously it went through the litigation with the SEC, essentially got out of it. Some people say it's a win. Some people say it's moot. But regardless, if you had invested into XRP this whole time, you would have beat Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 169%. I want you to remember that number. Just round up, 170%. That's what you're trying to beat here. So you got XRP. Ooh, not too bad. How about Binance Coin? No. BNB is a great one, but you're only up 74%. That's not that great. How about Solana? Well, there we go. Solana, love it or hate it, VC coin or not, you're still in the money. You're up 254%. You beat Bitcoin. Congratulations. How about Tron? Barely. Actually, you didn't make it. You're up 162%. You didn't beat Bitcoin, and it was more of a risky play. How about Dogecoin? That's a great one, right? 58%. What about Cardano? 38% increase. Congratulations to beat the S&P 500, but you're still lagging greatly. How about the darling of the cycle, Hyperliquid, right? That'd be good because I got in early. You still lost out. You're only up 91%. And again, the starting date in November 2022, it wasn't even out then. It came out in November 2024. So as good as Hyperliquid is doing, you're still underwater. Well, you're not underwater. I shouldn't say that. You are up almost 100%. You put in 4,000, you got almost 8,000. Congratulations. But you still are losing against Bitcoin, which is the easiest play. All right. Bitcoin Cash, 113%. Nope. SUI, one of my favorites. You were very close on SUI or SUI. 165%. Bitcoin was 169%. So sorry, Charlie, you still didn't make it, but hey, it was pretty good. I mean, I own that stuff. All this stuff we're talking about, I pretty much own. Chainlink, 28%. Nope. Stellar, 102%. Nope. AVAX, you dollar cost average and you're in the toilet. You're down -8% for 3 years. Ugh, awful. How about Toncoin, one of my favorites? Nope, you're only up 6%. That's sad. How about HBAR? Oh, no, excuse me. How about Shiba? Shiba, last cycle's meme coin darling. You're down almost 2%. And all you have to show for it is just essentially you're down 2% in your portfolio. That's pretty bad. How about Litecoin? You're up 6%. That's also sad. Monero, very nice, 95%, but you still lost to Bitcoin. Hedera, did I do Hedera? Hedera, 108%, pretty good still. I mean, you're beating the S&P 500. Let's see what else. How about Pi Network, which was, I mean, it's been blowing up, right? How have we done? You're down 18% because it was all the way back in, oh, look at this. 2000, just in February. Interesting. I thought it was out longer than that. How about Uniswap? You're only up 7% after 3 years. How about Pepe Coin? Okay. 366%. 360, that's pretty good. I mean, for a meme coin. So that's one of the few that's beaten Bitcoin so far. What about, let's see, what is this? Aptos? I don't know. Oh, I think I broke it. Aptos, you're down 33%. Let's see. ICP, and now I think we're out of the top 50. You're down 20%. Ethereum Classic, you're down 19.5%, and so on and so forth. Atom, so on and so forth. You're down almost 50%. So here's the thing. I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention. Again, not to like rub it in everybody's face and talk about their altcoins. I own a bunch of these. I wasn't happy. The thing we have to think about is this. Where should we be investing and which ones are getting traction? We just had a pretty good run not too long ago, and it seems like things are being left behind. So when I think about this, you know my thesis. My thesis is it really comes down to stablecoins and getting into that sector. There is a link in the description for Visa, as it's been tracking stablecoins. And there's two things I want you to look at as time goes on. As you scroll down, there's two charts to see. Stablecoin transaction. Actually, this is one of the three, I should say. Stablecoin transaction count. Just know that Tether is the lion's share of all stablecoin transactions. Even though USDC is great, and it's probably a pretty decent reason why you'd probably want to own this stock because there's a lot of things to run. This is CRCL, Circle Internet Group, something that I invested into. I would think about that. But right now, Tether is the big winner. So what I want you to do is to, when you're looking at this, take a look at the stablecoin transaction volume by blockchain, stablecoin transaction count by blockchain, because this will tell you who is using payments and who is not. Because we can have all these different, I mean, what is this? Blockchain, Ethereum, Tron, Polygon, Binance, Solana, Avalanche, Arbitrum, Base, Celo, Aptos, and other, which means it didn't even make the count. What do you notice on this one? Tron. How did Tron do against Bitcoin? Almost was the same. 163, 164% versus 169% return on investment over almost 3 years. Ethereum, awful, but does have a lot of transaction volume. And then we go to Binance, which actually did pretty good, 95%. And then Solana, 24%. Just something to think about. Stablecoin transaction count by blockchain. How many times are there transactions going on? What do you notice here? Binance, 106 million. Tron, Solana, and Polygon. Quite interesting. And I think Polygon is one of those distressed assets. But you can see that the top ones, 106 million, 36, and 10, are pretty good. But I mean, that is interesting. I never noticed that. Maybe Polygon is one of those, because if you look at Polygon, it's way down there. So for me, I take a look at these and I think to myself, maybe these are the ones to actually get into. And again, if I can beat the S&P 500 at 23%, 24%, and this measly 3.5, I think I'm in the money. So that would take care of the top 50 altcoins. And of course, what else? The alts that I think I'm going to go in a little bit heavier. But then what about treasuries? Because there's another option. Again, it's all about where we're putting our money to make the money work for us. And public companies that own Bitcoin are many, over 95 now, I think it is. So maybe may behoove somebody to invest in a MicroStrategy or a Marathon or stuff like that. And then, but it kind of goes back to this stuff, or this thought process. The reason why Bitcoin will keep outperforming is not because we have the United States behind it, we have the current administration behind it, we have nation states buying it, we have, actually, now that I think about that, that's pretty much a big reason. We have also these big corporations coming in and trying to buy as much as they possibly can. Think of all the different altcoins that are out there. How many different corporations are trying to buy it? How many retailers are trying to buy it? How many different institutions are trying to buy it? I think that's the bigger question. This is from Anthony Pompliano. He just started up a Bitcoin treasury and put that on their business balance sheet. And they bought up more than GameStop. They bought almost 5,000 as far as Bitcoin goes. Then you have MicroStrategy and Mara and Riot, Galaxy Digital, and so on and so forth. So if they keep having this war, where do you think Bitcoin's going to go? Where do you think your altcoin's going to go? Just something to think about. And then also, not to just to say, okay, Bitcoin, 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 that's it. But you have to think about this, because there's other companies out there, corporations that are buying other stuff. NASDAQ listed Chinese firm Aurora Mobile plans to allocate 20% of cash reserves to crypto. And when I read these cryptos, you're going to hear the same names. The firm has listed Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and SUI as potential investments. That's pretty good. 20% of its cash to crypto investments. Also, NASDAQ listed Nano Labs plans $500 million convertible note to fund BNB Treasury, Binance Coin. What do we see over here? Which ones has a bunch of different transaction and stable volume? Well, Binance over here, and then Binance as well down there. Actually, number one for Binance Coin. So maybe something to take a look at. Again, stocks, great option. And then not to be amiss, because I did make fun of Ethereum. And if you're an Ethereum holder like myself, take heart. There's other things going on. Ethereum treasury company Sharplane Gaming expands holdings to 108,000. So they put Ethereum on their balance sheet as well. I had a question about this, which was, okay, well, how's the stock doing? And for today, it's not bad. Looks like it's a nice little rally. Over 5 days, how about a month? Not too great. And then when you look at it like this, you're like, well, that sucks. When did they put Ethereum on the balance sheet? It was May 27th. So that was right here. So there was a pump, but it's kind of doing this action right here. Although if we do back up 6 months, I mean, the stock was sucking anyhow. $4, $3. And because of the rumors and things like that, it went from $35 all the way up to 79 bucks and then to 11. So take that as you will. And that's it for today. So look, I just want to give everybody just a little bit of context as to what potentially to get into. I know we get kind of caught up in our bags about, well, I have this altcoin and that altcoin, and I have this and Bitcoin, but we're really going to take a step back and go, which ones are winning, which ones are going to beat and outperform. And here's just like a little refresher, and we'll go from there. So look, like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about it's time sensitive. Now let's do a little Q&A. Answer all your questions, and we will go from there. Pete says, when 4,000 Ethereum? I don't know. And you know, with Ethereum, people will say, well, it's a great settlement layer, not a great transaction layer. That's why, you have Base and Arbitrum and Polygon layer 2 solutions. It's just when you're doing things and moving things around, normies aren't going to do that stuff. They're just not. I mean, even for me, I don't like doing it because there's just so many problems with bridges and the different dexes and the different hacks and scams. I was like, I don't want to deal with that. Just give me one simple solution where I can just send some money to somebody. That's it. I don't know. Waiting for that $100 circle stock. Yeah, that'd be nice. Let's see. Frosty Peas says, for the Daedalus users, can one switch to the Lace and internal wallet to get the midnight airdrop? I think because you have Daedalus, you are good for the midnight airdrop. Again, there's some different... I've read the FAQ and the white paper for midnight. This is for Cardano holders. And it doesn't give you everything. Good news, though, I'll have Big Pay or Peyton on the show, I think on Friday. So we'll talk about that. But as I understand it, if you have Daedalus, you're good. Lace, I think they said that they were going to allow it, but then there's been some back and forth in that. I personally have the Daedalus wallet as well. Let's see. Sad that Cardano native tokens aren't eligible for midnight. Look, I'm not a big fan of this airdrop. I'm just not. I just don't like hooking up my wallets to all these different things. And people say, oh, it's easy. But I just not really keen on it. And like I said before, sometimes you just, you do less and you make more. And how many times have we tried to like farm something or get some airdrop or do something like this, and then it ends up that like some people they do the wrong thing and they hit something incorrectly, and then they lose a big chunk or their entire wallet. So we got to be careful. I'll be notifying everybody as it comes up and some safety practices, but yeah, this is where it is. Ed says, no airdrop on Daedalus wallet. Just load your seed phrase into a Lace or Eternal. That sounds like an easy thing to do. I mean, it can be. You got to get your seed phrase out. You got to open up your Lace wallet or get a new Lace wallet. You got to put in those 24 words. And it should be okay, And then hopefully nobody has access to your computer, or there's no one's taking screenshots, or you put in the right one, or you download the right wallet, all that stuff. So, yeah. I'm a little paranoid to connect my cold storage device to claim midnight tokens. I don't blame you. That's facts. Solana makes no sense, and no valuation makes any sense. Kaki, I hear your pain. I understand it. But I will tell you, a year ago or so, we were doing some giveaways. And one was on the Ethereum chain, just Ethereum. It cost me hundreds of dollars to give away like 10 different wallets. We did this over on D.A.N. And it actually took a while. It was very slow. And then for Solana, like we did another one. There was a Solana, I forgot the name. And it was like seamless and easy. Like I sent it over and I saw it was like 2 cents or something like that. A penny or 2 cents for the transaction. And then I asked everybody who was in the chat, like, did you get it? And within like 3-4 seconds, like, I got it. So I'm like, right there, I'm like, well, that's easy. And if you've ever used the Phantom wallet, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, it is what it is. And then people say, well, it's a VC coin. And we talk about this all the time. I'm like, look, the VC's already dumped on you. They got in 2020. And then in 2021, they dumped like crazy. Some of them kept something. But remember when when Solana went from like $258 to $9? If they're smart enough to invest into something that early, they're smart enough to dump on the plebs, which is us. And then if you're like, oh, well, it's still a VC coin. Whose fault is that? Maybe if they dumped on you and they bought back at $9, which not everybody did, it's still out there. And maybe they saw the value of it. They wouldn't pick it back up if they didn't think it was going to go back up again. So that whole conversation is what it is. But I still say Solana's pretty damn simple to use. I'm using Ledger. In order to convert 3 ETH to Bitcoin, it'll cost me $100. Can you speak to easiest or cheapest way to convert? Not in Ledger. I'll tell you that right now. Ledger, and don't buy anything on Ledger. Swaps, Ledger, because they use this company called MoonPay, and MoonPay the fees are outrageous. So for me, like, I'll just use an exchange. and I'll send it in. And like I was using this on Coinbase. I haven't done this on Kraken yet. It seems to be pretty well. Or Binance US. I just converted it that way. It's much, much less than using Ledger. Don't use Ledger. Use Ledger for what it was originally designed for, cold storage. Let's see. Shams says you can connect the airdrop, then disconnect from the applications. Honestly, the apps you're not using, you should remove them. That's true. Very, very true. MoonPay is crazy expensive. Yeah. Steve-O. Rob, coming to Karate Combat in Miami, July 18th, 19th. Let's go. Okay. Just set that up in my calendar. I would love to, Rebecca. I would love to. We'll see. Probably not going to happen. But it sounds good. I appreciate the invite. This is like the third time. Oh, Crypto Steve-O. When I started to actually use on-chain transactions, I started with Ethereum and MetaMask. Me too. And then when Solana came out, I opened up a Phantom Wall and was amazed. So fast and so cheap. It is. You know, that's just how it is. How are TANGEM fees to buy and sell? To swap, it's not too bad, but it's still pricey. And I do it when I'm lazy, but I just don't like to connect my Ledger or my TANGEM, which is a cold storage device, to some type of decentralized exchange to swap. I feel like I'm defeating the purpose, but I do that every so often because I get just like you. I get a little FOMO and I'm like, oh, I should probably buy this. Yeah, do less, make more. And most of the times when I've done that, it hasn't really worked out too great. Although I do follow the rules that when it doubles, I do sell, 50% and let it ride. But a lot of times, even though I sell at that point, I still don't make much as far as revenue because it just collapses. So yeah, I just don't like doing it. TANGEM is badass. That's right. Cheaper than buying on centralized exchanges and transferring to TANGEM. The centralized exchanges are pretty cheap. I mean, for what it is. And depending on what you have, like I used to have Coinbase Prime or One or whatever it's called, where it was like either $30 a month or $20 a month if you sign up for an annual plan, which is super pricey. Then I got into Kraken, which is way better. And I got into Kraken Plus, which is like $4 a month. And it's the same crypto. So I'm just saying, there's a link in the description if you want to check that out. And yeah, $4 a month, and there waives all the fees up to $10,000. So I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer. Let's see. Gotsat says, Robbie, you wearing a TANGEM ring? No, this ring, this my wedding ring, is it's a special limited edition at Walmart for $8.99. You actually got two of these. One was a black one, was a gray one. And the reason I got these is because I don't like the gold rings. And then I can, if I lose this, no big deal. I just go back to Walmart. I mean, there's going to be questions from the wife, but hey, it is what it is. Rob, where'd I go here? How would midnight affect ADA price action? Dan over at, well, his handle is Crypto Recruiter, but that's not the guy. Great guy, great channel. He talks about how it's going to be a catalyst for Cardano. And let's see if I can bring that up, actually. Crypto Recruiter. Dan Gambardello. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. I got to ask him what his prompt is using. Damn, that is a good thumbnail. Let's see. Altcoin, track risk and real, Kraken FX, dog. Me and him both like the same thing. Except for Snack. I'm not a big fan of Snack. Sorry. Now, where was he talking about? Iran and the detail minute. Okay, here we go. Details of Midnight launch is out. It's clear this one's massive. Midnight is going to be a top crypto project. Very fast. It's minted. Snapshot for the airdrop was June 11th, I believe. All token movement is governed by Cardano protocol. Essentially, it's to hide or to give you privacy in the transactions that you do on-chain. So if, privacy is a big thing for some people, then yes, this would work out pretty well. We'll see. You never know. I mean, people will say, well, this is the catalyst for the next pop off, or this is the project, or we've all been here long enough to know that there's been a lot of promises. Not too many have actually come through. So we'll see. Dan is such a great guy. It's true. What's the over under for number of wallets created on Cardano to collect the airdrop? That's a good question. So Snapshot, you have to have over $100 worth of Cardano. And it's not just Cardano. It's actually multi-chain, as a matter of fact. So if you own $100 more of Bitcoin, then you're eligible for this. And actually, I did a post on this. Here it is. 50% of the midnight supply is allocated to ADA holders. So the majority. 20% goes to Bitcoin holders, and 30% is split among ETH, Solana, XRP, BNB, AVAX, and BAT in their USD value. So if you got some of those, then you're eligible for this airdrop as of June 11th. So congratulations. We'll ask Peyton about it, but we really need some best practices so people don't get screwed over. That'd be the big one. Trumpster fire. Why are you not a fan of Snuck? I'm just not. In the UK. Dan also isn't a fan. There you go. Shiba. Let's see. Crypto FFS. That's right. Okay. Sneck is going to the moon. Of course, it's all going to the moon. Catalyst for years. Every problem in crypto seems to be solved by launching another billion coins. That's funny and sad at the same time. Yeah. Oh, bro. If only I had a dime for every time I heard a meme coin moon boy say that after 2 years, Sneck will be lucky to go to the top of the bush. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Hey, Rob, you bullish on Sui or Sui? Yes. And do you think we'll have an alt season by, say, November? Anybody's guess. But I'm actively buying Sui and Sui. I'm actively buying Tron. I'm actively buying Solana. I'm actively buying Cardano. And, of course, actively buying Bitcoin. And some others. We'll see. It says, Rob, Professor Cohen was talking so highly of you in his latest video regarding your Bitcoin dominance classes. That was pretty funny. So I'd like to direct everybody to check out Ben's awesome acting skills on this video, which is right here. It's called A Little Crypto. And it's pretty funny. It's him and Dana, and they're going back and forth about what altcoins she should get into. And at first you're like, okay, come on, get to the point. But after like 30 seconds ago, it gets really funny. And then the end is the best because they do all the outtakes. So watch that video. It's pretty good. And then in that video, Ben says, look, if I can teach Rob about Bitcoin dominance, I can teach you anything. And I was like, that actually is pretty funny. And then he talked about Rob can keep 200 charts straight for altcoins. And I'm like, well, that is a little misconception, but I will take that compliment. So that was pretty funny. We could all use a little bit of levity in this situation, right? Let's see. Demon God says, how far does CRCL fall? I don't know, but there was a report from an independent study about how stablecoins are going to be a hindrance for the United States and how these companies are going to collapse. There was some report that came out and I was like, oh, really? Well, there's MasterCard and Visa who are mostly responsible for a major part of payments, and they seem to think it's going to do out just great. But we'll see. There's always like a little bit of volatility, and we'll see if that one plays out. But that's one of the reasons why Circle is falling, was they're the provider for USDC. Yeah. Yep. Airdrop. Jupiter, that video was cringe up. No, the first like 20 or 30 seconds when you're trying to figure out what it is, you're like, all right. But then it does get funny. I thought Ben was going to announce a baby in that video. Wow. That's kids. He's got a lot of kids. Let's see. Danny, you still holding Pepe? Yes. That's right. Actually, it's in my Roth IRA account. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. That's crazy. Exactly. Roth IRA account with iTRUST. I put that in there. I think I'm still up, matter of fact. And I'll be selling that when we at some point have a big run. Again, Pepe did a great one for me in my Roth IRA, but I don't think it's going to be around for the next 10, 20 years. That's why I can buy within my Roth IRA, I can sell within my Roth IRA, and I pay that much in capital gains tax because it's a Roth IRA retirement account. Interested? Links in the description. iTRUST. Cool Cat says, Atom will be used to make Ethereum faster and cheaper. You know, I like what Cosmos was doing. I know, unfortunately, and here's a little history piece that Luna was, correct me in the comments, but Luna was built on Cosmos or Atom, correct? So if they were built on that, and with the collapse of Luna, which was magnificent collapse, did anything happen with Atom? Did anything happen with Cosmos? It didn't. It stayed up and it worked just great, like how it was supposed to. And it was fast and everything else. And that was a major collapse. So I look at Cosmos, I wonder if it's like people look at that and go, oh, that's the Luna chain. But it's not. It actually does pretty well. I personally own very, very little of Cosmos anymore. So I hope it does come back. So D.A.N is the magic word. Yeah, Phantom supports Sui, so win-win. Tangerine cards are legit, easy to use, yes. And another thing I'm trying to get beat into everybody's head is about diversification of storage, right? If you've got over $1,000 in crypto, you can afford $45 or something to get some type of diversification of cold storage device. I don't want you to leave on the exchanges. That's for lazy people. I don't want you to put into one cold storage device, multiple. I got multiple tangents, multiple ledgers, and I use the custody service over at iTRUST, also Roth IRA. So yeah, they're easy to use and they work great. And yeah, I actually gave those to my family, kids and such. And those are the ones I like. So there's that. Let's see. 1% is a pretty steep trading fee, but what you save on taxes is gangbusters. Very true. Egg Zone. Banana Zone. Luna was wild. Luna was crazy. And it was a good time. Let's see. Wick says, do you remember when USDC unpegged? I don't. You had people longing and shorting USDC thinking it would fail completely or come back. Yeah. Wonder how much it did depeg. We'll see what. David Kyle says, seriously, Rob, you are now parroting Donald J. Trump and reposting his lies. How naive. Dear, dear, dear. Well, I mean, look, here's the thing. I don't know who's lying and who's not, but I can tell you this. We're not in World War III, so I'm feeling pretty good today. I don't know. Again, this isn't a political channel, but you can't escape politics in crypto. It's just inevitable, right? Just like the last administration. We couldn't escape the politics over there. Horrible for crypto. Horrible. And before someone says, but we did get an ETF in Biden's administration. That's true. Biden had nothing to do with it. It was Gary Gensler who was told by his uppers, you better approve this or else. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but it was a split 3-2 vote. Democrats said no. Republicans on the side said yes. Gary, who I think is a Democrat, said, all right. It was a 3-2 split. We were this close from not getting a Bitcoin ETF. That close. But it did happen. So I'm happy. I'm happy enough. Only a few cents, almost 10-cent drop. Yeah. And I think that's it. Not that much deep in USDC. That was during that bank crisis. Yeah. Which is why we invest into digital assets and Bitcoin and so on and so forth. That's it for today. All right, everybody. So I think I answered all the questions. So thanks for stopping by. Almost 40 minutes. I appreciate it. Like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. We talk about is time sensitive. Tomorrow, probably no live stream. We'll be doing DCA. Excuse me. NFA. I was on DCA live this week with James. Now I'll be on NFA live with Ben in the Cryptoverse and Guy from Coin Bureau. Check it out tomorrow. I think we're doing that at 9 Eastern time, but that's it for this piece. So thanks everybody for stopping by. I appreciate you. See you in the next one. Have a great rest of the day.